Welcome back in, everyone, to another edition of 70 Chip. We are back. You are back here listening with us. Another two dreadful games since then. Well, I wouldn't say dreadful, but another two games, another two losses. Um, but the advantage is holidays, spending time with family, loved ones, getting gifts, eating candy, eating cookies. So many cookies, man. I mean, so many. I mean, I've had. I can't even tell you how many cookies from different clients, customers, coworkers, family. I mean, just so many cookies. It's been absolutely ridiculous the amount of cookies that get consumed during Christmas time. Um, but yeah, it's been, there has been football that's been played. More exciting games that have not been played in Washington. Like the game Sunday night. Heck, that was a lot more exciting than probably any game that we've played this season. Um, But we're gonna get into not the past couple games that have been played because there's really just not much analysis that we haven't really already covered. If nothing, it's just worse, you know, and probably from some guys analysis wise that aren't going to be on the team next year, and that's fine. Um, but we're going to talk about this specific position, the backup quarterback, because it's been really a topic around the league for so long. Me and you have covered the backup quarterback for, gosh, I mean, we've covered quarterbacks just in general for years now, pushing probably 5 years, going on 5 years doing this.
Yeah.
And how important the position is, just quarterback in general, and then specifically backup quarterback as well. We've had to deal with it this season multiple times. We're on our third and fourth string guys. Other teams have dealt with it this season. I mean, teams deal with it every season, but it feels like it's been a little bit more this season than recent years. So it's an important position to nail down, and currently we don't have a backup plan. Ah, I like puns. Um, but before we dive into that subject, Ben, how are we doing tonight? Did you have a Merry Christmas?
Yeah, man. Hey, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. Christmas was fantastic. Really excited to be here as always. Listen, you mentioned the two Commanders games. Probably the best I can say for that is that it at least looked like they were trying, even though the season is long gone. It looked like they were at least putting out some effort. And that's about it, some guys put in some decent performances, but it's been a rotten end. I'm glad we didn't end on an 11 game losing streak. We at least cut that out a couple of weeks ago into that long, long losing streak. Now we've started another one. Unfortunately, we might end it on a 3 game losing streak. We'll see. At least the guys are still out there working, so I do appreciate that. And life goes on. Christmas was fantastic. I really appreciate everybody who does something for the holidays, right? And maybe you don't even celebrate Christmas, but a lot of people do, and for everybody who tries to make it, good. Because you mentioned, man, some people hand out a lot of cookies, some people bake a lot, some people make a lot of food for the meals for all the families to get together. Some people still do the Christmas cards, and hand those out, even though they realize they're probably not getting any back because there's just not as many people doing it. Um, you know, Everybody who does something, there's some people who take the time and the money to buy presents for everybody. I didn't do that, but I know some people who did, and you know, God bless you. That's something. Everybody who decorates a house or puts up a tree or whatever, you do something to make it a nice, fun, good time of year and celebrate. And maybe, listen, even a lot of people who maybe are having a rough time during Christmas, still doing something to make it a good time for everybody, themselves included. So, yeah, I really appreciate everybody who puts in some kind of effort over the holidays to make it special and good for everyone.
And I know I haven't received my gift from you yet because it's just
You
so
haven't.
large that the shipping is just, it's just going to take forever and a day to get here. Look, the Brinks truck, you can send multiple trucks, I mean, I'll split the difference with you, to send multiple trucks here if that's the problem.
Yes, it's definitely on the way. It is large, and you should see it just in a year now. Merry Christmas, Robertson.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a post earlier. It's like people are so crazy about Christmas. It was just like the day after Christmas. It was like people are so crazy about Christmas, they're already decorated 364 days in advance.
Yes, they are.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Our
Um,
topic for the night, you mentioned it, backup quarterbacks. Listen,
yeah.
um, part of it truly is just the backup aspect. We're going to hit some draft prospects, we're going to hit some free agent prospects. But the other part of it is out there, and I don't think you go to Jaden Daniels and talk to him about this. I think he just understands it. You know, we've got a guy here who year two didn't look great when he was on the field, but more importantly, he was just injured a lot. So if that were to continue, then, you know, your backup quarterback is the guy who's going to be out there a lot. And you want it to be somebody who gives you a chance to win, whether he's playing for 4 weeks or whether it gets to be a more permanent thing due to, you know, circumstances we don't necessarily expect. So there's kind of two things going on there. We're definitely looking for the backup guy who can come in and spell Daniels whenever we need to. And you never know, it may become more important than that as well.
And really, so I was considering texting you at some point in the past couple of weeks, asking to switch topics, because I was like, I don't know how interesting it's going to be.
Yeah,
Until Marcus Mariota gets injured. Okay.
right.
And Josh Johnson, the 39-year-old backup, comes in, and we go into the week with Josh Johnson as our starting quarterback, where this guy right here, with a team that has nothing to lose, by the way. I mean, we
Yes,
have nothing to lose, nothing really to gain either.
right.
Um, and this guy, Sam Hartman, here in the bottom right, we're told is not ready to take live reps. And
Yeah,
Jaden's been out half the year. And
right.
this guy's been sitting on the bench on the practice squad for the past 2 years.
Hmm.
So you're telling me this guy, you're basically telling us he can't play.
Right,
So if he can't play, then why is he on the team? Which I,
right.
I I've said this before that I think he's just there because of Jaden, because him and Jaden are buddies, you know. And I'd love to have him, if he wants to stick around as, assistant quarterbacks coach or somehow stay on the staff as a quality control guy or something of that nature, fine, right? But you shouldn't be on if you're on even on the practice squad, you need to be able to be called upon and play. Now, granted, we're not expecting great production out of you, but you need to at least be able to play.
Right.
And based on the comments that have been made, because they said, oh, it's lack of live reps. So their solution is to go sign a practice squad quarterback off of another roster. That was the solution to that. So
Right.
again, a guy that hasn't had reps with the team,
Yeah.
we're going to put him in front of this guy, Sam Hartman.
Yes.
Now,
We
me and
have
you
nothing
both,
to gain. Yes.
yeah, and me and you both believe that Sam Hartman can't play in the NFL. Me and you both, I think, believe that. It's
Yeah.
a very much of a long shot. He just doesn't have the arm strength. He might be, a decent locker room guy, great guy to hold the clipboard, but he's just not that guy. Okay. So we're wasting time basically, and we're wasting a roster spot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of solidified. It's like, okay, yeah, we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Listen, the backup quarterback can be super important just because he may get to play a lot during the season because the starter goes down. But even beyond that, you know, my favorite way to handle the quarterback room is I've got hopefully one established starter, whether he's a superstar or not. I've got one guy, right? And then along with that, I've got a veteran somewhere, whether it's QB2 or QB3. I've got a veteran that I know what I can expect, even if it's nothing flashy. I can just expect a certain amount of veteran play. And then I've also got a young guy, a first or second year guy that I'm developing, whether I trade him at some point for a pick or two or whether he becomes my starter in the future. That's the way I love to build these quarterback rooms. You know, they're not just guys I'm collecting, bringing it off the street and hope they never play. They've got a purpose on the team, man. In some cases, it may be to get the rest of the guys ready, uh, they've got a purpose. So yeah, I'm not really into clipboard carriers here. I think they're a part of the team, whether they really hit the field or not. But there's a very good chance they do hit the field. And yeah, why would you have anybody practice squad or team that you don't think could even be out there on the field in these kind of wild injury situations? Why would you have those players, right? Whoever, if he's listed as QB4 and the first three guys are injured, he's coming in the game for me.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
that's the way who the 49ers did it 2 or 3 seasons ago. They were
Yeah.
down to QB4.
Yeah, and not this guy. We're gonna pull a guy from another team
Yeah,
to fill that spot, which should have been
right,
his to begin with. But so let's go ahead and go over our options here, basically. So Marcus Mario, and everyone's like, well, we'll just bring Mariota back. That's
right,
not a guarantee.
right.
Okay. I mean, the Miami, who knows what's going on in Miami? Kansas City, more likely than not, is not going to have Mahomes is not going to be playing at least the first month, maybe not 2 months of the season next season. Um, and who knows what's going on in Vegas? There's going to be probably at least one or two other spots that are going to open up. I mean, you got New York, with the Jets. Um, maybe Cleveland is a spot where it's like, hey, we might roll with Shador, we might like bring in a veteran to let him continue to develop. We don't know what's going to happen, right? Minnesota even. Um, there's tons of guys on this, or tons of teams here that maybe could be in the market. Okay, so for a bridge guy, so Marcus Mariota may or may not stay with us, and I wouldn't begrudge him if he wants to go start. As even if it's temporary, I don't begrudge him of that. So it's not a guarantee that he comes back. So these are the options that we have if he does not. Um, there are some viable options in terms of whether they fit our system or not. I don't know. The only options that really interest me on this list, if we were to not draft a quarterback, okay, because we're going to talk about draft prospects here in a couple of minutes. If we don't draft a guy, then a guy like Malik Willis, um, he would interest me because he's a young guy. He's been in the league for a couple years now, on a couple different teams, so he's got a couple of different offenses, kind of under his belt. He's had some experience now in Tennessee, now in Green Bay. In Green Bay, so you've seen the growth, right? It hasn't been exponential, I would say, but it's been noticeable. Okay. And if the goal is to have a backup that you can help develop into something either that, as you mentioned, you can either trade later or actually keep as your backup and have him stick around for a while, then I that would be one of my choices. And I'm not a big Malik Willis fan. I didn't like him coming out, but again, I'd like to see growth out of my young quarterbacks, and that's what I have seen from Tennessee to now, just the other day, uh, when they were playing. So I would be interested in that option if we don't draft a guy. None of the other guys on this list necessarily interest me in that regard. Now, if we're just looking for a Mariota veteran replacement that you were talking about, I mean, pick any one of these guys and it'd be, rather suitable. You can make a case against and for all of these guys for the most part. But if we don't draft a guy and we need a young development guy, then I would go with Malik Willis if he's
Yeah,
available.
for me, Malik Willis would jump out. The probably the one other name I would put in would be Gardner Minshew out of guys that I would want as my backup. A lot of these players here on this list, it's not that they couldn't come in and play some decent snaps, but because of the age, I just really wouldn't want to have them as my backup because in a lot of cases they have been beaten up during their careers, and that's often why you see QB3 coming into play is because QB2 has a lot of age on him and has a lot of injuries, and it doesn't take much for him to collect another injury, right? So I would want a guy at QB2 who I would expect to be healthy. So I really wouldn't want, I mean, other than Joe Flacco, maybe, I really wouldn't want these older guys. So many of them have been beaten to pieces, quite honestly. And then some of the younger guys I don't like because I just don't really trust the arm strength. It's so limited arm strength. So usually, if they flash at all as a backup, they'll flash for a game or two. And then defenses start remembering, hey, these guys can't throw the ball very far or very strong. So we can gear the defense toward that. And, now we're kind of getting choked out and tapped off, right? So Malik Willis is definitely a guy I would be interested in. Gardner Minshew as well as the guy we've seen come in and play, get hot at times and play pretty well. He's got plenty of arm strength there. Um, I'll start plucking a couple of names off here. Skylar Thompson, I would not want him as my backup. I don't even think I would want him as QB3 to be honest. I just don't think there's enough talent there. You're looking over here. Kenny Pickett, I would be okay with QB3, but not QB2. I really wouldn't want him coming in and getting, man, 4 to 6 to 8 games. I really don't think I would want that. Mitchell Trubisky and Sam Howell would be okay, but I really do not think, man, I think I'm at a major disadvantage when they enter the game. I really do. I really feel that way. Um, Malik Willis, Gardner Minshew, I at least think I have a chance.
Yeah, that's really just their off schedule stuff. And for me, it's
Yeah.
the physical attributes for Willis. Um, again, I wasn't a fan of his coming out. I didn't think I thought when
Hmm.
where he went, I wasn't shocked, where he went. I thought that was about right where he went. And
Yeah.
unfortunately he was overdrafted even where he did go. But I'd be interested in that because if you sign him and he's your developmental guy, if he were to enter the game, you don't have to change the offense for the most part. You have to, limit some things, but overall, you don't have to change the way you play offense. You can still do your read options. You can still have them scramble out, get them out in space, all that good stuff. Um, but the real reason we're here to talk tonight is the quarterback prospects of the next upcoming draft in 2026. These are the top guys that haven't declared quite yet. As to
Right.
my knowledge, some of these guys have not declared yet. Um, but Ben, I'm gonna act like a car buyer right now, and you are said car salesman. But instead of selling cars, you're selling me QBs, and I'm, a prospective GM that's just now getting into all these quarterbacks, and I have no idea who any of these guys are or what their skill sets are and so forth. So please take it away.
I'm just going to clear the floor real quick of 3 guys on this list and 2 guys not on this list, and then I'll kick it back to you, okay?
Okay.
2 guys not on the list. Lenora Sellers from South Carolina. I don't think I see him up here. And Jaden Mayava from SoCal. We don't think they're going to be in this year's draft. That's why they're not on this list. Matter of fact, I haven't Googled it. They may have already announced that they're not going to be part of the draft. I don't know. But that's why they're not on here. So anybody that's in the audience being like, hey, where's those 2 guys? We would be very interested in those 2 guys, but I don't think they're going to be in this year's draft. The top 3 guys, Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, look to be picks number 1, 2, and maybe pick, 25. I don't know. Obviously, the Commanders aren't going to use a high pick on any of those 3 guys. We've already got a quarterback, right? So even though, Mendoza's my number 1, a lot of people like Dante Moore. They're going to go way high. They're just not going to be there for us. And Ty Simpson, who I'm not high on, but some people are, enough people are high on him. He's just not going to be there for the Commanders either. So I'm going to clear out those guys and bounce it back to you and see what we can come up with here as we're looking for a backup quarterback somewhere in the mid rounds for the Commanders.
Yeah. So initially, I'd be all right with drafting a guy in the fourth, fifth, or sixth round. But if we're not getting Mariota back, or if we're anticipating, okay, he's only going to stay for maybe one more year.
Yeah.
Okay, if we can go and get another 1 year deal done, then maybe a third round isn't such a terrible idea. You know, um, I'm not going to say second round. Just I feel like that's too high.
Okay.
Now, if
Yeah.
Jaden was 35 years old instead of 25, then yeah, I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe second round should be. But third round, I think is a sweet spot for a team that is looking to get a backup quarterback that can actually come in and play, and you're not going to be at a talent disadvantage. Like he's got the arm strength, he's got maybe he's got some mobility, what have you. It's there. The tools are there. Um,
Yes.
it's hard this year because of the draft capital situation, but
Hmm.
that that's the situation we're dealing with right now. So I'd be fine even with third round guy. So what I'm looking for, okay, in a quarterback is I'm looking for production. Production to me matters. You can have all the traits in the world. That doesn't mean anything to me if you can't produce out in the field. Hence, Anthony Richardson. Okay, that's prime
Right.
example number one. I know there's a lot of people that disagree
Yes.
with me on that one, but prime example right there of all
Yes.
the talent in the world and can't produce. So number one, production matters to me. And then two, measurables. If I got a guy that 5'9", 185 pounds soaking wet, then I'm not interested in that guy at all. Because it's just we've seen too many times over the years that that just becomes problems. So measurables, that's another thing for me too. And then is he going to fit my scheme? Like the scheme we run. Is he going to fit that kind of play style? Is he going to fit that quick game, hurry up? Does he have the arm strength to stretch the field, when possible? Those are the traits that I'm looking for right now in a young developmental quarterback.
And instantly, two guys come to mind when you're talking about what you're looking for a Commander's backup, kind of third roundish kind of a quarterback, right? Those two guys for me are Cade Klubnik from Clemson. He's number 6 there on our particular list, and Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, number 4 on the list. If we were to dial it back to the summer, those two guys were at the top of a lot of people's list as far as where they thought they might get drafted based off of 2024. Those were two of the Heisman favorites heading into 2025. You look statistically at their 2024 seasons, both Klubnik and Nussmeier, goodness gracious, they were killing it. Production out the wazoo. Both guys were not as impressive in 25, but still produced. So if production is at the top of your list, those two guys did it. They produced. And again, 25 was worse than 24 for both guys. Now, both guys, you can see 6'1" and 6'2". They're not very tall guys. They're, if we can even trust the 6'1", 6'2" numbers, they're pushing at the threshold of where you would really like your quarterback to be height wise, right? But still, they're in the realm. Uh, Klubnik seems like the guy who can run a lot better. So if you're looking for a very, very mobile quarterback, Klubnik can do that. He can pick up your first downs. He can run 30 yards straight up the middle if you're not watching him. He got that little bit of a pop to him. Klubnik throws a beautiful deep ball. Defenses in 2025 took that away. They basically said, safety's over the top. We're going to play off man, so you can't get your runs deep on us. Um, so he didn't get do much of that in 25, but he threw a beautiful deep ball. Trouble is, it looks like he's using every ounce of arm and muscle and body strength he's got to get that ball out there. Okay, so limited arm strength, but boy, when he gets it out there, he's giving his receivers a chance all over the field. Klubnik probably sounds like your number one guy. Nussmeier, I think, gets the ball out a lot quicker, especially in 2024 when they kind of had all the ingredients there. He's probably more accurate, I would think, even though his accuracy isn't great either. Probably more accurate over the middle, but he does not offer the same. Really doesn't offer very much of any mobility. So those are probably the first two guys that pop right there. Production, really sticking out there.
Okay, what if I'm looking for more, production's still important, but
Right.
maybe that's not my top trait. Maybe I'm just looking for the measurables, the guy that's just going to be like, you know what? I believe so strongly in my skills to develop a quarterback, that I can teach anybody, but they have to have the arm strength, they have to have the size, the speed. That's what I'm looking. I'm looking for that Anthony Richardson because you know what? The Colts, they were wrong. They didn't know how to handle him. But if
Right.
I got him, then I could do much better. So if I had that kind of philosophy, where would I be looking for in
Uh,
this group?
if we keep a fair amount of production, but these skills and the attributes go way up from Klubnik and Nussmeier, that's going to be Carson Beck. All right. Carson Beck can stand flat-footed and flick a ball like this and it go 50 or 60 yards. You talk about a guy who has no problem with arm strength. He's not Mahomes or Josh Allen level, but he's next tier down. He's got plenty of arm strength, has been highly talented for years, and has produced. But dang it, the interceptions and the decision making sometimes just leave you scratching your head. Doesn't always seem to deliver when you really need him to. Um, but boy, there's some good stuff to work there. You see the 6'4" there that he is. I think that's a legit 6'4" from what I've seen. A lot to work with there. But again, Like, man, they really he went to Miami not because he was so highly coveted, but because Georgia really didn't want him anymore. It's kind of what happened there. Um, and part of that is he just wasn't developing the way they were hoping. The interceptions weren't good. The decision making, sometimes throwing a double, triple coverage, just not good. But if you can work that out, not a lot of mobility there. He's got enough mobility to get out of trouble. He's not going to be running very much though. So, this is going to be more of your pocket passer. He can roll out and throw though. He does have that. So if you at least want a guy who can roll out and throw, he's got that absolutely.
Okay, is there any other names on this list that maybe, okay, I'm not the GM, I'm not the decision maker. You are. You're picking the next guy for Washington to be as your developmental backup. Who are you picking or targeting out of this list?
Yeah, that one's easy. I'm sure some of the audience has already been screaming at me about not mentioning this guy, but it's Drew Aller from Penn State. Guy's 6'5". I think that's a legit number. Pretty stout too. He doesn't look like a skinny guy running around out there. Arm strength, I think, is just about as strong, deep depth wise as Carson Beck, but I think he throws a much prettier ball. I really do. Um, People have been dying for Drew Aller to step up. They've been begging for him to show that next level development. In his defense, he has gotten marginally better year over year over year. I think it's 3 seasons he's been the starter at Penn State now, but it's been marginally. The production, it's not nothing, but it's way down here. Nussmeier and Klubnik are up here. Heisman Trophy guys are up here. Beck's right here, and Aller's right here. I mean, it's just not producing. You're like, dang it. He's got everything he needs. There's nothing he's missing. If you were going to print a guy out of a quarterback factory, it would look like Drew Aller. The pretty ball, the deep ball, everything, and yet the light bulb just hasn't come on. And he still strikes me as a fairly young-minded guy. So I don't know if he hasn't yet gotten serious about the game, if he's, hanging out with the girls too much all year long down at, over up at Penn State. I don't know, but the light hasn't clicked. If it does, he could be the best quarterback in football. He's got that level of talent. So if you're looking for a guy to take a flyer on, certainly would be an excellent backup if nothing else, right? This guy's got the goods. 6'5", got the arm, got the nice control. Just has not clicked yet.
I'm more or less thinking, if I can stash this guy on my team for 2, 3 seasons, develop him, and he, plays a couple games for Jaden while he's injured and lights it up, then I can this guy for a second or third round pick.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking. And
Yep.
see, that's what I prefer. Okay, I prefer the
Right.
Patriot way in that regard, where we're drafting a guy every single year, second, third, fourth round. And, at one
Yes.
time it was Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jacoby Brissett all on the same team,
Yeah.
all in the same quarterback room. And obviously that's an unrealistic expectation, right? Of course. But to say that, like, I want to draft a Jacoby Brissett or a Jimmy Garoppolo, that's not out of the realm of possibility. That's actually
Right.
rather likely at some point in your team's, history that you're going to
Yes.
do that. We need to start doing that, okay? Because clearly Jaden, I'm not going to say he's injury prone, but it's going to be something, it's going to be a reality that we have to face
Yeah.
if we continue down this road of Jaden Daniels and making him our starting quarterback. And that's just going to be the reality that we're going to have to deal with this. Baltimore's dealing with it. They got their Tyler Huntley, okay?
Right.
We don't really have that. We don't have that guy to develop. So that's kind of the goal of this exercise here, is to identify and maybe bring some awareness to, like, hey, maybe this is a problem, that we need to address. Now we have several. Okay. We have several, and we don't have a lot of ammunition to devote to all the holes that we have to fix. And that's going to be the discussion for over the next 2, 3, even 4 months, on the show. But we have plenty of time to do that. We got plenty of time to talk about all that. But that's why we're talking about
Right.
quarterbacks today, you know. So those are the draft picks that we have there. Nothing there is final. The round selections are, but the actual, the actual picks themselves are have not been finalized because of all the well, there's season's not over quite yet, and then we have all the
Right.
comp picks and so forth that need to be, distributed and all that. So these are just estimations as far as I'm concerned. So um, these are the guys that you kind of mentioned in the past few minutes as to guys that you're going to target, if you're selecting for Washington. Um, I guess, is there anything sticking out between those four guys? Like, man, if you had your selection, just say they're, I don't know, they're fifth round. Okay, I'm just throwing out a scenario. Fifth round, all four of these guys are still available somehow,
Yeah.
and you got your pick, and you're like, man, we gotta pick one of these guys, and you have your selection.
It would be Aller first. And honestly, if I'm going to try to grab a quarterback, why not, a backup, I mean, to develop, why not swing big? So it probably be Aller and Beck, because at least I know I have the big arms. Even though Klubnik, and if I were really truly trying to grab a starter, kind of a bridge starter for the next couple of years and maybe save my job, I'd roll over to Klubnik and Nussmeier, because they've shown that the light has come on for them. They can produce. They just seem like they're a little limited, right? Aller and Beck are the guys who the light has not yet clicked for, but boy, the attributes are there in spades. So why not have a guy like that playing backup? And if he were to hit, man, there's no limit to how high those guys could, how high their career could be. So that's what I would do based on our commander's situation.
So what I hear you saying is that Klubnik and Nussmeier, year one, if they had to come in, it's not going to be pretty, but you can at least have a functioning offense that's, it
Yeah.
looks like an NFL offense. Whereas if Aller and Beck have to get in year one, then it's going to be an absolute train wreck,
I,
more
I
likely than
would
not.
think so, unless, because you never know with these guys when the
No,
light bulb's going to click, right? But typically speaking, yeah, it looks like Aller and Beck need to sit on an NFL bench and work with some NFL offensive coordinators for a couple of years, and maybe slowly that light bulb will really turn on,
yeah, yeah. So are you spending any of these picks on any of these guys? Do you think any of these guys are worthy of knowing what you know about what we
Yeah.
need and so forth? Are you willing to spend a selection on any of these guys?
Yes, absolutely. I'll give you two scenarios. The fifth round pick, absolutely. I would spend on any of these four guys. They're all four absolutely worth the fifth round pick. Matter of fact, I kind of doubt they're all four still going to be there at the fifth round. There's a chance maybe none of them are still there at pick 146. But based on what I know about this year's draft and where the talent board kind of runs out and on what we need, absolutely, I would use a fifth round pick on any of these four guys that are still there. I would consider using a third pick 70 on one of these guys if we were able to cash in the first round pick number 6, 7, whatever it turns out to be. Yes, I know all of you heard that. Um, even my son over here. Yes. Whatever that turns out to be, if we could cash it in and maybe catch, I'm gonna throw out numbers, pick 15 and an early second round pick. If we could do that, I'd be more interested in using pick 70 on a backup QB. If we can't cash it in though, and we're still kind of limited, then you know maybe let's just wait and see what's sitting there in the sixth round for a backup quarterback. There are still other guys to choose from as well.
Does that change your thoughts on that? Does that change if Mariota is re-signed?
Yes, if he's back for another year, I obviously we wouldn't go the free agent route. I if Mariota's back for another year, I probably wouldn't grab any of these guys with pick 70. I'd probably hit the defense even harder, and then maybe in the sixth round, just grab whatever quarterback is still sitting there. That at least gives you a developmental guy. We didn't even talk about John Mateer. He's nuts. That guy's crazy. He's fun. That would be a great sixth round pick right there. Then there's some other guys that are farther down that I'm less excited about, but it would give you developmental guys, right?
Right. Right. Any other thoughts on whether it's veterans or these prospects or anything else about these quarterbacks?
Just what you mentioned right at the outset. If anybody at all is questioning, and they shouldn't be, but is questioning why would we even have an episode like this, especially when there's still one game left in the year? It's just been that kind of year, man. All right. The team did not do what any of us wanted it to do, and we've long since realized that nothing good was significantly going to come out of this season. So we are trying to have productive conversations here. And I guarantee you, behind closed doors, the general manager and his staff are having these exact conversations. Whether or not they've gotten around to specific quarterback conversations or not, I don't know. We might be a little early on that, but they're having these conversations. You have to. You can't sit there and say, well, Jaden Daniels is going to be healthy for the rest of his career. He's got all of his injuries out of the way. Nobody would think that or do that or say that, right? And you can't just automatically assume, well, we'll sign Mariota for whatever number and bring him back next year and the quarterback room is all set. That's not good strategy. So that's what we're doing here. And you mentioned that right from the outset. And totally agree. That's what we're trying to do here.
Yep. Do you have any thoughts on the Philly game on was it the Sunday afternoon?
Teaser. You and I are about to do our podcast. I've got a series of questions for you to react to, and the Philly Commanders game will actually come up as one of the questions. So check that out on Odds On Favorite. I'll go ahead and give my thoughts real quick. We actually have a chance to win this game because the Eagles are considering sitting their starters. They're debating whether or not it's even worth running everybody out on the field or not. So we'll see if they do, but we got a chance at winning this game, even though it's in Philadelphia.
I never usually wish this. I kind of hope we don't. And it's only because we need that first round pick as high as it could possibly be. You know, we really do. And it's not because we need a quarterback. We just need ammunition.
We just need ammunition,
We
baby.
need assets. So that's really all it is. I mean, if Josh Johnson or Jeff Driscoll or Sam Hartman are going to be starting at quarterback, it's not going to be worth it, man. I mean, if they can pull one out, great. If they can't, I mean, no one's going to blame them.
The the defensive tool shed is a little empty right now. Some of the tools are a little worn out. Some of the tools got stolen, so it's a little empty on the defensive tool shed side of things this year. So I hear you on that first round pick.
All right. And then finally, I just wanted to shout out, this channel again. It's a great content that's being put out. I did want to shout out this specific series that, has been doing pretty well. It's still relevant, today. Nothing
Yeah.
has necessarily changed as far as I know, in terms of any of the coaching positions and so forth. Any of the conversation, I don't believe has changed as of yet. So still relevant series. It was a great job done by you, Simon and Shane. Um, so just wanted to shout that out again and, make sure that I brought it to everyone's attention here this evening.
Yeah, I appreciate it. One of the things, because obviously we're a huge network, but we're a little short on views at times, right? We get buried in the algorithm timeline very quickly when we're not racking up hundreds of thousands or millions of views. But we want all of you in the audience to know when you come to us, you can expect certain quality levels even if we're not high up on the views list. So when it comes to this coaching stuff right here, this is quality through and through. When you see the prospect stuff, same thing there. It's quality through and through. So we encourage you check it out on Pro Football Enterprises and on the Box Score Network too.
Please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts on a backup quarterback situation or anything else about this season for that matter. And we'd love to hear from you. Until then, we'll see you after this dreadful season is finally over.